And we're live. My friends, welcome in once again. This is Mikey Wine, aka Gundam Morning Works, and Angel's ready to go. He's already clapping his hands. We haven't even gotten started yet. So welcome in. This is part 13 of the M1A1 Abrams tank project. I'm essentially done with everything you see here. I do have to add a little bit of chipping and maybe a little more dirt, but to the ammo boxes on the guns here. A friend of mine pointed out that they were a little too clean, so I'm going to bang them up a little bit because he's right. I guess these things sit in piles and in a warehouse somewhere and get moved around and banged around, so they're not going to be perfectly painted. They're going to be chipped and stuff like that. But yeah, I finished painting the figures, flat coated everything again, just to 1 minute late, huh? Really, Ken? I can let that 30-minute countdown just keep looping all day long if I want. It's only until I shut it off that it actually brings up the screen. So you'll live, I'm sure. You'll live. Anyway, so just a couple little minor things to tweak on that, and then the tank is pretty much done. So what I started doing was working on the stowage stuff for everything that's going to be piled in back here. I still have to attach the antenna. I'm going to do that last. I've got two here that I've already... try not to break them. Oh, gosh, almost dropped one. I got two little antennas here that I've already stretched plastic. I may make a few more just so I get two that match. I'm not exactly sure on the length. What is up, George? Driving, listening, nice. Good to see you, man. I'm going to be doing the 148 Tomahawk reveal here shortly, but first I'm talking about the tank build, and then I've got a new tool I want to show as well. I'll do that first. Not keep everybody waiting, anticipating what the new kit is, and I'll show that. So anyway, where are you driving to, George? If you can type, I don't know if you can do that while you're driving. And don't take any chances if you can, unless you're driving home or something. That's cool too, unless you're going someplace exciting. Let us know. Anyway, I finished painting the figures and glued them in place, and yeah, I think they came out really, really well. I'm really happy with the desert camo. I also used a clear smoke on their goggles, so it kind of gives that effect of looking through, because they're propped up on top of their heads, their helmets there, so it almost looks like you're seeing the top of their helmets through the goggles, which is kind of cool. It was a unforeseen kind of bonus when I used that clear smoke. I wanted it to give that lens look, but it really turned out way better than I thought. So I'm going to try to show you that here in a sec. I'm just kind of spin this around so the base and everything is pretty much the same. I got piled up here is all the resin stowage stuff that I'm going to be working on later tonight. But this is essentially the front of the diorama, or the vignette here. This is going to be the viewing angle from this side, because the characters are kind of facing that direction anyway, so it makes sense to do that. And the tank is not fixed to the base. It is removable. The turret is removable. And in fact, for showing off the figures, I may just take it off of the actual tank, the tracks, take it off so I can handle it a little bit easier and bring it closer to the camera without worrying about damaging it. But yeah, liking the way this came out. There was one other thing I was thinking about doing. Oh yeah, I was going to maybe put some sand. I might do that still. I don't know. I've got some sand and some larger rock that I made. In scale for this, it's just a little jug of some dirt that I picked up in my backyard back in California one time, and worked out good. Had a nice gritty, large sandy consistency, so it works good in this scale for rocks and boulders that might be around this big, or so, depending on, you know, the scale. So it's something small enough that can go on this. But anyway, I really like the way this looks, especially actually looks better on camera, to be honest. It's good, but it actually almost looks like an anime, almost cell shaded look, the way the colors show up on the camera. So anyway, I will take this off here, and like I said, the figures are glued in. I don't have to worry about them coming off. So I'm just going to disconnect the turret, and I'll move this aside temporarily, and then I can kind of give you a closer look of the two figure characters here. So let me see if I can get this to focus on screen. There we are. So I'm real happy with the way they turned out. The goggles look nice. The faces have some nice definition and shading. And what's funny is I actually used Citadel, some Citadel colors to like a flesh shading color to give those contrasts on their faces. It surprisingly works really well. The Citadel stuff is amazing, to be honest. For a water-based paint, it works so well and goes over these lacquers without an issue. There's the back of their helmets. Oops, I'm getting out of screen there. There we go. So I still have, like I said, I still have the two antennae to attach. And then I've got all the stowage stuff that I have to pile into the cage back here. But I really like the way these guys came out. They look really good. It was my first attempt at actually hand painting desert camouflage, so it actually worked out well. I just Googled an image of it, and then I used the color guide that came with the kit and did that. So you can kind of see that. You can actually see their goggles there. It almost gives that opaque see-through kind of look to it. And then really all that is just the base color of the camouflage with some clear smoke hand painted on right onto the goggles, so they almost look transparent, which is exactly what I wanted to do. So let's take this. I'll bring the tank back over here and set this back on. This is notched so it fits. And I'm going to get down angle. I'm doing this without glasses. There we go. Once I get it to line up, it'll fall right into place. And voila. So I got a couple little cracks in the pavement. I actually had an idea. I was actually thinking I might paint some of these traffic cones and maybe put like one or two random cones just kind of for whatever reason on the street. I don't know. Maybe that'll be a nice effect. We'll see. I guess it wouldn't hurt I could paint a couple up and see how they look, and then if I like them, I'll secure them in place. These are some of the pieces I've already trimmed. These are some of them I've sanded, like this little grouping here. I've sanded the bottoms. I've got a little bit of cleanup to do on this one, but all these pieces here, I've just cut off the bulk resin, and then I've got to go back and sand that. And then this is all stuff that I haven't even touched yet. So I'm not going to clean up all of it. I'm only going to clean up the pieces I'm going to use. And some of it's pretty small. I may just have to kind of, before I start painting, I'm going to start piling the stuff in there just to kind of see how much will fit. You know, some of it's going to be piled up on the deck back here on these hatches. And then the rest will be piled in the stowage area. Some of it might be secured to the sides, like the gas cans, maybe something like that. I might glue them straight to the outsides of the cage. That gives me a little bit more room inside for whatever, because some of these pieces are just really big. I mean, this would take up the entire stowage area, and I'm not going to use that as like a tent. This might be another tent or something. And there's some smaller rucksacks and stuff. But I've said this in previous episodes, that the detail on these resin casts are just unreal. And here's an example. Like this one here, it's a little bag. Let's see if it focuses. Come on, baby, focus. There we go. I almost had it. Come on, focus. Give me a good focus. There we go. There's actually stuff inside the bag. Like they folded it up, and it looks like there might be boots or something inside there, just inside the opening of that little sack. And then there's some straps and things like that, little tie downs and other stuff. It's just unreal. Some of it was well worth the wait. What's up? Hey, John's in the house. So John, you're on Facebook and YouTube. You got both of you chiming in here. It shows you saying the same thing on both. But it gives me a list of where the people are commenting from, and it shows you on Facebook and YouTube. So that's talented. I've never seen anybody come into two different locations at the same time. But awesome. Good to have everybody here. I will be showing off the new kit here shortly. But I just wanted to briefly talk about this and where we're at. I'm really pretty much done. There's going to be a couple little details, some chipping and some weathering to the two ammo boxes on the machine guns. But other than that, I think this portion is done. So, and then, like I said, stowage. So, without any further ado, let's get to what people have come to see. And hey, what's up? How you doing? Mike, right? I'm not like George. I can't remember everybody's name, but I'm pretty sure you're another Mike. Forest Ghost in the house. So thanks, bud. I appreciate the comments. Yeah, this is going to be a nice piece, and I never intended to take this and show it at a show because I figured, the rivet counters would just tear it apart, and they probably will anyway. But after getting to this part, this stage, I really think it would be something nice to put on a table someday. So we'll see. IPMS maybe next year, out here in April. We'll see if this one will probably make it to the tables, and I can. Last year I put or this year I should say, I put my F-14 out there and actually got an honorable mention for it. So, and again, I didn't expect to even get that because I'm not a modern armor or aircraft builder. I typically do sci-fi and Star Wars, whatever, that kind of stuff. Gundam. I mean, why would I call myself Gundamonium Works, right? So I'm going to set this aside. Give me 1 sec as I roll back here. Put this safely aside where it will not get tweaked. Okay. What I might also do tonight is this is one of the sheets for some of the MRE boxes. There's a smaller set here. These are the smaller ones. I already showed one of those. That's this little guy right here. But these are larger boxes. I may cut one of these out and fold it up tonight too as well, because there's actually one of the resin pieces is a pack of MREs that goes inside the box. It's made to have the kind of box opened up so you can see the insides, see the contents. So I may do that, and that's where these guys come in. These are X-Acto X-Life blades. They look like a standard X-Acto blade, as far as the shape, but they're blue in color, and they are super sharp, and they retain their edge a lot better than a standard blade. I bought this package probably 6 years ago. I don't remember how long. It's 100. It was 100 blades, and I've maybe used 10, 15, 20, maybe at the most. Definitely worth the investment. You'll pay more for these, but if you use X-Acto blades, you get these. They work great. Okay, so moving on. They are the best out there. Yes, they are. Where can I get those? Ken, I got those on Amazon. If you just look up X-Acto X-Life blades, I'm sure you can find them, and just make sure they do say, they look like this package. And it's the number 11 is the size. That's the most common size that goes in whatever handle that you happen to have. I have this nice wooden handle that one of my brothers got for me years ago when I started model building back in California again, and they bought this nice little tooled looking wooden handle, and it works really well. I've had it for years. But yeah, so number 11 is the size. That is the most common size that you'll see on any kind of a blade holder, whether it be something like this. This is a little bit larger. It will hold a larger blade, but it'll hold the same. It's number 11. So anyway, so if you have an X-Acto blade, those blades will work. Number 11. Anyway, so the other day, mail came in, and I've been wanting one of these for a while. It finally came in. Spin this around so it's facing you guys. This is the Display Precision Circle Cutter. This is the nicest one that they make. I bought this off of Mecha Warehouse. Mecha Warehouse has, I think, 3 or 4 different display cutters like this, but there are different grades. One's an entry level, one's a little bit of a step up. Then there's a hey, you can get one too. I showed you where to get them, John. I know you're jealous, but hey, I showed you where to get them. This was $56, and that's for the highest high-end one, and it is really worth every little penny. And I'm going to pull this out and kind of give it a little eyeball of what it comes with. So there are some Allen wrenches here, and I see, I'm not even sure what some of them are for. There's some of them that hold the case together. There's 2 halves here. So there's a big Allen wrench or Allen bolt that kind of holds it together. Then there's 4 other smaller ones in the sides. And I'm assuming that is just what locks the bearing in place. So I don't know. I haven't really decided to take it apart and figure it out. So you get the Allen wrenches with it. You also get 3 cutting blades. And even though they are colored regular blue, they're all the same. And initially I thought there were 3 different blades, but they're just the same. Just so you can keep track of which one you're using. If you want to use one for plastic and you want to use another one for tape, masking tape, or something like that, you could swap them out. And so the instructions are kind of vague on the box, but I did figure out how it works. Inside this is where the blade goes. The blade actually goes in through the bottom, and there's a tip on it. These colors here this is just a protective tip that's actually covering the cutting blade portion of it. Okay, this side is actually at a point. You can see that there. Let's see if I can get it to focus. No, not really. It's pointed, and so that way you can rotate, because as you start doing your circle, you want the blade to rotate to the optimum cutting angle, and that's what that's designed to do. So you pop that part in here, and there's a small magnet. There's 2 springs and a small magnet in here that actually hold that blade in place. And then you adjust that knob in the center. That's what adjusts the blade down into whatever you're cutting. This is the size adjustment. So obviously, the smaller you go to 0, that's going to be 0 movement. Anyway, go out here, you can get up to 20 millimeters, 25 millimeters total, all the way out. Looks like 26. Looks like 26 millimeters from 0. So adjusting the size, when you go to cut, you just roll this around. There's a really nice bearing here. What's up, Brandon? How you doing? Long just in time. I wondered how the silicone cutters are. Yeah, I tested it on some sheet plastic that I had. It cuts like butter. It's not going to go through anything bigger than 0.4 millimeter, though. Okay, it says that you can damage the blades. I don't know. I'm not going to try it. I use some really thin stuff, but it will cut plastic sheet up to 0.4 millimeter thick. But then this thing is so quiet. It moves so very easily. Good for masking, though. Absolutely. Another thing it comes with are these 2 black, these are like rubber stickers, 3M. You peel them off, peel and stick. You put those on here. That way it stays very secure. Sorry, I'm shaking my camera. But that way, once you put it down and you go to cut, you have to make sure that it doesn't move, because if you're cutting it, when you're cutting a circle, especially if you're cutting deep into some plastic, it will tend to try to walk on you. So you have to make sure that this does not move while you're making your circle. And then you just kind of test it, see how deep you got to go. You know, you can always adjust it a little bit. But if you take this knob off, there's a double-sided threaded portion that goes into the base. Hey, Tex, I thought you said you had class tonight. Armita's in the house. And orange covering eyes. What's up, David? How you doing? Nick's in the house. How's it going, guys? Got more people in tonight than I've ever had. I really love it. So anyway, what I was saying was there's a double-sided threaded portion that goes in here. One of the springs is on the bottom. The magnet's in the center. Then there's another spring on top. And this is just the adjustment. You adjust it down or, you know, up to obviously how deep you want to go and make your circle. That's it. So really, it's got some weight to it. Very, very well made. I think this one's worth it. I don't know how the other ones compare to this. The entry level looks like it's all made out of plastic, whereas this is all machined aluminum with a nice high precision bearing. Very quiet, very. It just feels solid, you know, solid and with good weight. So anyway, let's pop this back in here. We'll get to the big boy. Whoops, I forgot the bits go in the bottom. It's got a nice case with a couple of magnets. Close the lid. It pops in there, and these just kind of lay on top. Very nice. Very well made. Very happy with it so far. All right. Everybody ready? Chris tried showing me how to use that cutter. Yeah, I had to figure it out. It is a little bit vague, like I was saying. The instructions are kind of vague. It just says to do this. The pictures is what really throws you off, because the adjustment knob in the center is different than the photos that they actually provide. It looks like they've updated it, and they didn't really update their instructions. So it was way easier to have him do it for me. That's probably true. All right. You guys probably want to see this. This is what everybody's waiting for. I've been looking at this guy's models for a while. This is from Moscato Models, and he does produce a lot of posts on Return to Kit Forum on Facebook, and it looks like they're going to go. I'm not sure. I can't speak for them, but I just saw a post today saying that they're back in business, because there was another post maybe a month or two back, maybe more, saying that they had to kind of step away from doing this kind of resin model, scale model sculpting and building and producing it for sale. Now it looks like that for whatever reason they had to slow down and pause. It looks like they're back. So that's going to be awesome. I'll let them do the announcement. I don't know anything about it. But anyway, I've been looking at Moscato, what he's been building or what he's been selling for a while now. I've always loved the Tomahawk, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna treat myself and get one of these. So this is 1/48 scale, which is larger than any plastic production model that I know of. If anybody can correct me on that, I'm pretty sure most of the only ones available in plastic by Bandai or any other is about 1/72, maybe 1/100 or 1/72 only. This is 1/48, so this is going to look really good next to my 1/48 Valkyries. I've got quite a few Hasegawa Macross kits, but I've been kind of spoiled by the 1/48 scale just because they're just bigger. The details are nice. They're just nicer. They're easier to build. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I get kind of spoiled by the large scale, so I had to buy one. So here it is. It just showed up yesterday. I have already done a parts check just to make sure everything was here. So I'm going to open this up. It does come with decals. These are a bag of the smaller bits. This is like the machine gun barrels, some of the missiles. All the missiles are separate in the shoulders. They're all, and you can use them. Some of them even have fins on them if you're going to have them installed in the barrels. You can cut the fins off, but yet the smaller ones are made to go into the shoulders. There's also a big standalone pod on one of the sides that has even larger missiles in it. This has some of the cockpit pieces in here as well. I'm going to take all that stuff out. We'll show it off here in a second. And this little bag. So I was on Bandai 172, Wave 172. Yeah, I haven't seen anything bigger than 172. So that would be the largest scale out there. So this thing's going to stand, and I know I looked it up. Let me see if it says it on here. When I first bought it, he had it listed as far as the construction height. And I don't see it on. Oh, another nice thing is these are all signed by Moscato himself. And there's some clear pieces here for some of the lenses and the cockpit, the main canopy. This has an open cockpit, so you can. And there's also a pilot figure. Here's some of those larger missiles. You can see here. You got fins on them. You can cut the fins off if you want. And then here's the big bag. So take this out. Plop this down. All right. Let's go over the decals first. We were having some discussion last night about the decals. And these look fairly decent looking decals. The carrier film does not separate, so you'll have to cut these out individually. But one of the big things I noticed was the Macross, the kites here, are reversed colored. Typically, most of the Macross kits I see have these with the kite is white and the circle is red. Well, these are done the opposite of that. See here? Yeah. But having looked at some of the artwork and some of the models out there, it seems to be that is the correct color configuration for the destroids or anything armored for that matter. So even the armored Valkyries have this kind of color scheme. So I'm not sure what the difference is. We were trying to figure it out. Some of the guys, in fact, Brandon asked a couple of the groups out there why, and they said they think it's an armor thing or anything that was a ground force was used, had those colors, whereas the Valkyries did not. That's one theory. But it seems to be that maybe if it's an armored thing or something like that, maybe that's why. So, but I have some extra 1/48 scale decals. I may end up using those instead. I kind of like the original color scheme, but I don't know. We'll see. Some guy said Saw W books stated that. Oh, stated that it was an armor or just ground force. Either way, that's good. So this is the big bag here, the main body of everything. This is one of the thigh sections here. I'm going to kind of pair all this stuff up because I took everything out of the bag and I had to do it. I wanted to make sure I had all the parts, so I did a parts check. So I'm going to just slowly take everything out here again and kind of, oh yeah, here's the big barrels for the arms. I think this is supposed to stand around 11 inches. I'm going to try to get an idea of that. I may go back and try to look it up on his page because I'm pretty sure he mentioned it when he was in his production stage, when he was trying to drum up pre-orders for everything. He was kind of telling everybody. Ground forces, that's why the Armored Valkyries has it too. The armor was meant to make it temporary ground. Okay. Well, there you go. So here's one of the answers from groups out there. Gosh, this is the one of the main body sections. It just there's quite a bit of cleanup on some of these edges, and this is of course not where you're going to see most of it, but that's a pretty big chunk. Look at the size of these feet. That's the front foot portion. So I got two of those. All right, so put those there. I have not done any cleanup or any, mold release or anything. I haven't done anything to this. It just literally came in yesterday. Here is the upper torso portion. All right, we got a couple of, those aren't the same. I had them together. I kind of threw everything in together, so I was kind of hoping that some of these parts would be together. Oh. I actually thought I was missing one piece last night, but it turns out it fell out. It was laying on my leg as I was sitting at the bench here, and I finally saw it. So that's the other one of those. There's one where those clear lenses goes in here. I'm wondering, after seeing this, there's a little notch out where like maybe a light would go. I wonder if it would be easy to put an LED in there, but I don't know. We'll see. So that's the other side. We've got this. Oops. Oh yeah, that's the cover for that. There's one of the shoulders. There's another shoulder. Lots of vents here. Some of these pieces are all on resin backing, so they've all got to be trimmed and cut and sanded. And it's going to take quite a bit of prep work, but he advertises that, and when he sells it, he's like, this is not for beginners. There's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done. Not to the molds. The molds are pretty clean, but there's going to be a lot of work to take the flashing off, stuff like that. So these, I believe, are this might be the ankles. I'll have to look. I downloaded his instructions from the website because it didn't come with any, and I thought, wow, that sucks. No instructions. I'll figure it out. But there's quite a bit more pieces than I remember seeing. I didn't think it was going to be this complicated. So this is, yeah. But anyway, they were posted up on his Facebook page, so I went back and screenshotted every single one of them. So that's a shoulder support. A couple of vents here. And all this stuff, he casted it and constructed it all from scratch, all scratch built, and then casted. But one of the interesting things about his kits is he only produces enough until his molds no longer yield a good kit. When I asked him, I was like, how many do you make? That was his response, was like, I make as many as I can. Once the molds fail to produce a good kit, he stops. And that's it. So you make maybe 50, maybe less, probably even less than that. And that's it. So that was another reason I'm like, you know what? I'm going to buy one. We'll see how it goes. So we got a couple of ball joints here. These are actually for the hips, and I figured this out. So this is the hip section here. Front. I think this is the front. Yeah, and then you've got these ball joints that pop in. This has still got some cleanup. This one won't fit, but so those pop in there. That's the actual hip joint. So then when you bring up the leg here, let's see, where's the top? Oh, I think it's, where is it? Oh, it's, here we go. So this is the hip here. This will go, so I think it's this side. I think that's how that goes. But I don't know yet. I can't remember exactly. I'm not going to guess at it, but that's one of those big ball joints. And this is what I thought I was missing, was one of those hip joints. But like I said, it rolled off the table and was just sitting on top of my leg here. I happened to cross it. So let me just dump out the rest of this, some of the smaller pieces here into my hands. Some of these are, most of this stuff's in pairs. Some is not. But yeah, so we got two of those. There's a hatch. Okay, so here we go. We're almost done. We'll lay all this out here. So there's two of those. Okay, So that's everything. Yeah. Yeah, and the feet, let's see, pretty sure this is, nope. Gotta look through the instructions again. Oh no, this is the ankle. Here we go. So these fit in here. That's the ankle portion there, and then there's 4 of the. Actually, I'm going to try to trim this off real quick. So this isn't going to fit right because there's still a lot of cleanup. I have to pull off this piece here, but this is the ankle that kind of fits in there, and then the back of the foot has 2 of these, one on each side. So just real quick, I might just try to trim off the extra flashing on these so I can see what the fit is on this. Yeesh. That's a nasty air bubble. But someone asked, I think it was Brandon was saying he wanted to know how this guy's kits were, the quality wise. This is the first time I ever bought one from him. But so far so good. I think, it is like a garage kit. There's not that many produced. So there's going to be some defects, little minor stuff that, you can, little holes you got to fill, maybe an air bubble here. One of the notable ones I just saw was on the top of this. This is the back of the foot. This is the heel of the foot, and there's a really sizable air bubble here that's going to have to be filled. But so this fits in there like that. I think. Oops, I didn't realize those are directional. So I've got to. Let me do one more. Let me trim this off here. I'm just going to quickly trimming some of this. Are there missiles in the pods? Yes, there will be. Okay, so these are the main shoulder, the ones that go basically across the chest or on each side of the chest. I noticed like this one came out perfect. This one has some resin down in the holes. I'm going to have to drill out. Looks like maybe the mold bled in some of those holes. But that's what's in these bags. These are all missiles. So the missiles are separate. You can cut the fins off and load each one separately. So let me just trim off this large piece. It's like more like a chunk of runner is what it really looks like. Okay. All right, so this goes in like so. And then the heel or the ankle goes in like that. So that's a foot. That's big. Man, this thing's going to be fat. And then here is there's the lower leg portion there. I think this is the knee. Might be the knee. If my memory serves me correctly. And then from there, yeah, so this goes, I think this goes in like this, and then you've got there's pretty much a leg right there. I mean, you can see the molds are pretty nice. I mean, there's some nice detail work. There's a little bit of a mold line here that I've got to sand down, but it's nothing big. It's nothing huge. And you can adjust, these ball joints are there, so you can pose it whichever way you want to have the legs tilted, have the feet, kind of bent out, a little bit. So there is some mobility there. Now they will, once they're glued in place, that's it. But you can set up the joints the way you like. But this is huge. I mean, if you look at how big this is, you see how, I'm just kind of guessing here. This leg is almost 5 inches tall. That's just the leg. So let me see if I can set this down. Kind of take an eyeball here. All right, so that's like an extreme dry fit, but It's pretty darn big. So yeah, that's massive. Let's see how tall that actually is. Yeah, it's actually 5 inches, almost exactly, just on the leg portion. And you've got the this is the upper torso. This is where the cockpit will go. There's a little hatch back here in the back. I trimmed out a little piece off of this, so this is like a nice swivel joint here. There's some cleanup that I got to do down here to get this to fit really nicely. But so if we were to do that and see how much I can actually dry fit of this. So there's one of those ball joints. We set that up there. So that is, let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna have a hard time holding this together. Yeah, this is really where you gotta start taping shit, but I'm just trying to see how big this thing's gonna be. So that goes like that, and that goes there. So there you go. So the body, and then there's gonna be, some things up here on the shoulders too, quite a bit bigger. So with just to the top of the cockpit, that's almost 10 inches right there. So yeah, I think it's around 11. But I don't remember. I'm going to have to go back and research that and see. So these are the smaller missile pods here. Those are the ones that go on each side of the cockpit, right? Like in this area here, and here on the shoulder. That's where, let's see, where are they? That's where these come in. These are the hatches that, let's see, do they go that way or this way? Might go this, yeah, I think it goes this way because they're hinged. Yeah, so that there, you got one of these on each side. That's for those missile pods. So you can have those open or closed. And I like the way he did some of the sculpting here on these edges. It looks like welds. He actually textured them to look like an actual steel weld around the belly of the cockpit here on all these edges. It's really kind of a nice touch. See those little armor welds. Then we've got, of course, the two main guns, the arm guns, and these are going to take virtually, very little cleanup at all, just in the back. But these themselves are, again, these are about a little over 5 inches in length just by themselves. How heavy is that kit going to be? I don't know. I didn't weigh the box. I didn't even look to see. Well, let me see if I have it here. Let's see if it says the weight on the shipping. 5.4 pounds. That was the package weight. So, yeah, it's a pretty heavy kit. Pretty heavy, if I don't say so myself. So that's what this is going to look like. I'm really excited. I think this is going to be one of those things I may start after I finish my current project. This might be what I do next. So, how's everybody doing? Everybody still here? Got a few guys still hanging out. And girls. Yeah, here's the big missile pod that goes on one side and actually has a hinged door here. So you can either have it open or closed. Once this is cleaned up, this will fit nicely on there and shut. And then that's what some of those big missiles will go in here and cut the fins off and shove them in there. Somewhere in here, let me see. I think it might be. Yeah, it's this one. There's a decent looking pilot figure. It kind of reminds me of the 148 Hasegawa, like Macross, the TV version. That might be where he got the pilot from, but here's the pilot figure. Pretty nice. But I may put him in the cockpit or I may not. What I might do is get another one of those one of those resin prints that I got from Shapeways of that pilot figure from my last Valkyrie walking across the floor. I might have him walking toward the destroyer. That might be kind of cool. Rather than having a pilot in the cockpit, I may just have him walking toward it. And here's the hatch, the top hatch. Oops. Still a little bit of cleanup work in the front. Let's see, where is, okay, so that's top hatch. So that goes here, I think. Yeah, so that fits like that. And then the glass lens goes under here. But you can have this in an open position where it slides forward. I think you cut those tabs off if you're going to have this sliding forward and open. That's an option as well. What else? These are for under. These go under here somewhere. These are for all the guns that come out of on each side of the chest, on the lower chest. One on each side. This is I don't even know how this goes. This is like the giant pack in the back here. Oh, this goes this way. Has to. See, no. Oh, this way. There we go. Something. I think it's something like that. But it's big. Because I'm pretty sure these are the shoulder holes here. This is where the missile pods go. Like these guys go over here. Like that. See, kind of seeing it come together a little bit. I could be wrong, but I'm just kind of doing this by memory. It'd be nice to work on larger pieces instead of microscopic ones. Yeah, that's true. But if you've ever worked with resin, especially this kind of resin, which is molded, you have a lot of cleanup work to do, and you got to make sure that you've got all the mold release off. You got to soak this stuff in purple power overnight, and make sure you got all that mold release off, because if you try to paint it before that, your paint just won't stick. So yeah, these are the shoulder joints. I'm not sure if that is supposed to go flush with that. I may have to. I think, you know what? I have to trim that down maybe. Anyway, yeah. So those are the shoulders for sure. And I think this piece, this is what goes over the back here. Yeah. See, this kind of covers up that gaping hole back there. That's where that piece goes. That's the shoulder support. And then there's another one here which covers up that hole in the back. So that's that. And then you got a shoulder and then another shoulder here. So one on each side. Oh, no, actually, you know what? Those aren't the shoulders. Are they the shoulders? Yeah, those are the shoulders. These are the elbows here. The elbows go on here. There'll be a pin that'll go through each side. So these are adjustable as well to an extent. Up and down. And yeah. Super excited to start this thing. But it's going to be a lot of boring stuff in the beginning. It's going to be all cleanup, all getting these pieces. Dude, just build the damn thing. You know you want to. I got to finish the tank first. I'm not gonna stop on that. I know I want to build this. Thanks, George. You're right. I know I want to start this now, but I'm so close to being done with the tank. So once I finish that, then I can confidently get started on this, and we'll start tearing it apart. So there is like the pivot point here on the knee. So these don't sit all the way in. They actually sit up a little higher. So the legs will be slightly longer than the measurement I gave earlier. All those pieces are in here. There's like the cockpit, the seat, the pilot seat, all the barrels. What do we got? What is George talking about now? Be right back. Well, okay, you be right back. We'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be right back, my friend. That's a lot of parts. Yeah, it's not. You're right, Julio. It's not. I don't know. For a resin kit, I guess it's a lot of parts, but maybe I was expecting less. But it's. He made it. He designed it so you could pose with posability in mind. So I think that's why a lot of these pieces are separate, so you can actually manipulate them and glue them in place as you see fit. So yeah, it looks pretty darn cool. Oh, gosh, so big. This is the foot portion again. So yeah, just massive. And this will sit up here, right about here. That's the knee. And then I think I showed this already, the upper knee, but I can't fully put it together because there's a lot of flashing, a lot of like where the molds were poured in. This I've got to completely sand off that entire top section. And if anybody hasn't told you before, if you're dealing with resin, you should always wear a mask when you're sanding. Resin dust is not fun. I won't lie. I've never used a mask. I probably should have, and maybe I will with this one, but we'll see how it goes. This stuff doesn't seem too soft. It's got the consistency of plastic from what I would just cut off earlier tonight. A couple little pieces I trimmed up. So it's fairly hard, not too soft. But sanding resin especially produces a lot of. Got some resin pieces trying to run away under my computer. It produces a lot of dust and a lot of like little scrap pieces everywhere. Like I'm just trimming off these small little pieces on the stowage stuff. Nothing like this. This is big. So this is going to take some time. Yeah. So that is that. Real happy to see this thing get started. Well worth the money, I think. This is what the final kit should look like. You can see how those hip joints, being a big ball socket like that, you can actually pose the leg, turn the feet out and give it some nice realistic posability. But all of those holes, like up in this shoulder, this is that missile pod. I think you can either drill these holes out. I'm not sure. I think there's missiles that go in there if you wanted to put missiles in there too. But I got to go back and look at the instructions to know for sure. I may actually build a file. I'm going to take these screenshots and create a file for them so I don't have to keep going back. Let's see here. Let's look at, so this is the parts list, pretty much what we just looked at. Oh, wrong direction. So this is an assembled resin kit without being painted. That's essentially what that looks like. Here's another angle. Another nice angle. So let me see here. Where did that? Oh, okay. I know. I understand now. All right. So, and it's really nicely. The instructions are laid out kind of nicely in steps. So 2 and 3 shows you like the shoulder or the main body, backpack, cockpit, all the pieces that are involved. Each one, here's all the clear parts here on top. This is the cockpit. And then it shows you, even gives you basic instructions like how to, like if you're going to have this open, you have to trim this tab off, And then you got the back portion, that's this big fat sucker right here. Those pieces installed on that with the cockpit open or closed. And then it goes into the legs, which shows all the feet, all the pieces for the feet and the leg. And they only they're showing you one side, how to assemble the foot and the legs, and then the arms, getting down to the arms, the pins that go in to hold those pieces together. And let's see what, that's okay, that goes. That's like attached, this little elbow. Where's that other piece I just saw? Where is that? That is, where are those? Now it feels like I'm missing something. I don't think I am. They're probably right in front of me. I'm looking for the other arm piece here that looks like, that's a shoulder. Oh, there they are right in front of me. See, I knew they were here. So yeah, this will go in, this will pop in here. That's for the arm. Shows you the orientation. Then we get to the waist. There's those ball joints for the hips. The assembly of the hips and legs. And each individual missile. There's your, Mike, there's your answer to that question. As far as like individual missiles, if you want to put them in there, you can. You just have to trim off the fins. And it shows you how to install the guns. There's another photo of putting the missiles in to the pods one at a time. Open or closed. And then there's the shoulder accessories there, the larger pod, and then you're finished. So that's it. That's the instructions. So I'll be using that on my phone as I'm building. But yeah, so far very, very impressed by the quality of it. I haven't built a solid resin kit, I don't think ever. The only thing I've ever done on resin has been like dress-up kits for Gundam and stuff like that. So this will be the first full resin kit that I've done. So I'm not a stranger to the cleanup process and how to sand and trim all these off. Like I said, there are some mold lines here and there where where pieces should be smooth. You can see a line where his molds came together, but I really am impressed by those sculpted welds. Like all the big body pieces on all these edges, that look like those factory welds where you have that when you do like is it a TIG weld or something like that, when you're doing actual metal steel weld, you get those little ripples as it goes down, and those are all on all these little joints. So it really cool. It gives you that feel of big, heavy, dirty armor. Yeah, this will be something that I can weather really nicely, put some nice scratches, dents, and dings on it, because that's the way I like to do these. These are supposed to be war machines. They're not going to be clean and pristine and off the factory floor. This is going to be something that's dirty, gritty, been through a few sorties, beat up a little bit, that kind of thing. So I'm still eyeballing how a lot of this stuff goes together. But yeah, I think this goes in here. I don't know. I'll figure it out. When I look at the instructions again, I keep messing around with it. So, all right, let's bag this back up and get on to cleaning up some resin that I've already started cleaning up. Most of the big pieces are in this bag. I didn't open really the smaller bags as much. I just kind of looked in and saw the pieces in there just because I was just making sure that everything was there. It looks like he really took his time to bag it, package everything properly. Hopefully anybody else that got one of these isn't missing anything. You know, I thought I was, like I said at first, and then I found the piece I was missing because it actually rolled off the table. You got a color in mind. Mike's asking if I got a color in mind. I will probably go with the traditional Destroid color for this. And let me look it up. I've got a picture of it. Let's see. Once I go into this, Brandon will know this because he's the one that showed me this picture. Whoa! Why am I all of a sudden? Wow, that's weird. That was weird. It just suddenly started playing my audio. That was bizarre. I wasn't even on Facebook. Oh, there it is. That's why. I was trying to bring up Messenger, but because I'm live right now, it showed up on Facebook. So here we go. This is the traditional Tomahawk colors. So it will be something similar to this. It will focus on it. If I can get it to focus. There we go. So yeah, I suppose I could go green as well, but I think I like this, the two-tone of the joints being a slightly different color than the actual outer armor, almost like an inner frame would be on like a Gundam kit. So, but yeah, this is what I'll probably go with. There'll be quite a bit of chipping, particularly around the feet and legs, and of course the barrels will probably be scratched up a little bit too. But yeah, I think that's what we're going to go with. But I suppose that could change if there's something. I've not looked at other people's projects. I haven't seen anything out there. Maybe there's something that will catch my eye if I see somebody else's custom color scheme, something that maybe there's something else that'll work. But for now, that's what I'm trying to stick to, the traditional colors, especially for Macross. I don't deviate too much from the anime when it comes to Macross. I like the color schemes that they currently have. Gosh, getting this thing to fit again. There we go. Just kind of. It's a wonder this stuff showed up without being damaged. Because there was no padding in here. It was just really just thrown in here. I was remarkably surprised that the glass pieces actually showed up as nice as they did. Because you could see the bags they were in were kind of dinged up like they'd been just around. But yeah, there we go. All big. So yeah, no, it's funny. This is an unassembled resin construction kit for advanced modelers. Well, I guess I'm out. Requires finishing, building, and painting to complete. Not a toy. Well, it says it's for advanced modelers, so I guess I have to give it to somebody else. I'm not advanced enough. Just kidding. So now the bench is clear. Let's play around with some of this other stuff here. Maybe I'll cut one of these out. I'm going to need a new blade, though. That's what I got the blades out for, because this one's just a little dull. Been using it quite a bit. If you're doing this kind of stuff, you have to have a fresh blade in order to cut really, really good. So there we go. Brand new blade. I can always put that back when I'm done. I'll go back to the one I've been using. But I did snap the tip off of this one for doing whatever. So I don't have that entirely complete blade, but I want a nice sharp tip on that. So we're going to start with a new one. I'm also going to bust out the full 4x magnification so I can cut this out and make a box out of this. I already did one of the little white MRE boxes here. For those that may not have seen that, that's this little guy here. Let's see if it focuses. Oh, focus, baby, focus. Oh, you're so close. Focus. No, it just doesn't want to. But yeah, that's the little guy, little paper. So this is a slightly larger box. I'm going to cut out here. Yeah. If you put your palm horizontally, things on the camera better. Yeah, I was trying to do that just a second ago. I'll do it again for you. Let's try horizontal. All right. I can't get my because my camera is pointed down, so it doesn't want to work. There we go. Almost got it. There it goes. So that's the little MRE box there. Now I can't get it focused here. Great. Thanks, Brandon. Now no one can see what I'm doing. Yeah, that's all good. So this takes it's a little bit tricky. It's just like folding up a big cardboard box. They're cut the same exact way. You just have to basically know where to separate the card, the sections, the tabs, to create the box. I'm probably not going to use all of these, so if I do end up butchering one, I can always do another one. Okay, so now I've got the actual box out here, but now I've got to separate each one of these tabs. So what I did before, because you know how even a full-size cardboard box, the tabs, if you were to open it up and lay the whole thing out flat, the tabs would not be butted. There'd be a slight gap in between each one. And that's what I did with the first one, is I just laid my razor down and I trimmed off the tiniest of slivers to separate those two panels. That way when it folds up, the pieces aren't binding together. It's just like a real cardboard box. We're talking tiny sliver. See? I don't even know if you can see. There you go. You can see that tiny little sliver right there that I just cut out. That's what you got to do. It's microscopic, but it's there. They show the lines on there. There's 2 lines where you need to cut it. So I'm not making this up. But it is very, very, you have to be very careful and just make sure you got your blade. And all I'm doing is lining it up and then pressing down on it to kind of cut through it. And then just pulling out each little piece. I've got to do this 4 more times. Because there's roughly 6 of these tabs. That I have to cut out. Success. Yeah, this is just a little life cam, Microsoft webcam. It's nicer than the one on the laptop, but eventually I'll have to upgrade. It's good for what it was intended to be for, but it doesn't focus very quickly sometimes. Other cameras, I'm sure I can buy one that will focus a lot quicker, or be adjustable where I can actually control the focus manually and not have to worry about it. So I've got 2 more of these little tabs to cut out, and then I'm ready to start folding this up. What I did last time is I just busted out the Elmer's glue, because these are just paper, and then I just had to kind of use a toothpick, fold it up, and then I would hold the 2 pieces together. Okay, so I've got this cut out. Now, I don't know if you can see these tabs or not. So each one of those tabs now is separate. You can see those little slivers each side I cut out. So I'm just going to start folding this up. I'm going to fold this in there, this one in here. And it is kind of tricky. It's just tiny, and that's the hard part, is it's really small. As long as you take your time. So these got to go. There we go. Because if you cut them precisely, they'll fold right where they should be folded. That's the nice part. Because if you've trimmed your edges, just perfectly, take your time, make sure you get the cuts right. But if you've trimmed everything the way it should, you should be able to fold these up, and it will go together exactly like it should. Okay, so now I'm starting to see the shape here, and I'm going to have to kind of start gluing this. So I've got half of this box kind of folded here like this. Let's see, starting to take shape. But what I may have to do is glue these 2 tabs down so it stays in this shape, and then I can start folding the other side together. So I think this is what I'm going to do. Got to reach up, grab my Elmer's. Elmer's glue. Good old Elmer's glue. Same stuff you used in school. And let's see here. I'm just going to take a scrap piece of paper, drop a little bit on here, and then I'll just use a toothpick, kind of apply it where I need it. So I'll just take a little bit of this, don't need much. Here we go. And I drop my toothpick. So yeah, I'm just going to put a little tiny bit under this first tab here. Elmer's gives you a little bit of working time, obviously, so you can pull on there. And then what I'm going to do is just fold this over and hold these 2 in place until they glue. Elmer's will glue, dries clear. Get a little excess, you can rub it off. So by the time I get all these folds done, I should be able to show you a convincing MRE box. So that was almost dry enough for me to let go here. Okay. Got a little bit more. Get those edges were nice and square. actually. Yeah, I can do that. I'll build another one later. So that's pretty good right there. Okay, so there we go. Halfway there. I gotta fold all these others up here. Make sure that the longest folds are the hardest because they do want to walk a little bit, but yeah, that one's going to give me a hard time. There's a way around that, so I can take almost use this like a photo etch bender. Just grab my pliers there, fold it right on the edge. All right, now I got to take these two, fold them in as well. Also going to give me a little bit of grief, so I'm just going to grab this. There we go. I'm just using these needle nose as a straight edge. Just lining my needle nose up with the bend, the fold line there. Okay, so that goes inside of there. I got two more. Whoop. This is where it gets tricky because you gotta fold these together, hold them as you go. Takes a little bit of time. When you get close to getting the whole thing together, that's when it gets a little bit tricky, but it's all right. You'll see the end result here in a sec. All right, that's that. What's up? Julius is here. How you doing, buddy? How are you doing tonight? You just missed the 148 Tomahawk unboxing. Oops, I dropped it. You'll have to go back and review the video. So right now I'm just trying to fold up an MRE box here. So I'm almost there. Got two more folds to go, and this will fit just like that. So I haven't glued this yet, but there you go. And once you do get it glued, then you can go in and square off all your edges and stuff. So I'm going to just lift this up ever so slightly so I can get some glue under these tabs and then glue it shut. Oh, there's actually two tabs there. So put a little bit under here. And again, this it's going to dry clear. Nomers is super easy to use, especially with paper. It dries quick enough. It's nice enough that you don't have to hold it for too terribly long. I'll do this for the one side of the box, and then I'll grab the. Oh, that would be nice. A nice build. I was walking the dog. Oh, well, that's good. I don't have any dogs, so I don't get to walk dogs right at the moment. My wife wants a dog. I'm pretty sure she'd want to have one. So I got two more tabs on this side to glue as well. Just going to lift this one up on that side, get some glue under them. This actually went together pretty quick because first time I did one of these, I didn't know how to assemble it. And I was just like, man, this is not easy. But this one went together a lot quicker. I think I had finally got some practice with the other one. got a system down. Just going to put a small little edge right where this piece tucked in. There we go. I'll just wipe off the excess. So these actually are printed with meal ready to eat. Individual. Do not rough handle, even frozen. 0 degrees Fahrenheit or below. And then on this side, it's a bunch of, it's a foreign language, I think. So yeah. So there we go. That's the larger of the two. This is the smaller one. There you go. One MRE box. So what I plan to do with another one of these is the larger of these two boxes. This is a pack of, this is actually designed to fit inside one of these boxes, and I'm looking at it and it almost looks like it's too big. So I'm going to have to cut another one of these larger ones out and see. I may have to shave down the edges of this resin to fit in there. And this is like little individual packs. There's 1, 2, 3. There's like six MREs in this one. It's supposed to go inside one of these boxes. So what I'll do is I'll assemble it open with the top open and this inside. I think they even show it on the, yeah, see like the stock image you see right here. There's that MRE box. It's kind of open. So that's what I intend to do, is kind of duplicate that, but I may have to trim down the size of this block in order for it to fit properly, because it does seem like it's a little too wide. It might fit as far as width, but I think it's too long. The piece is too long. But now that we've got two of these, I can actually throw those on the tank and feel good about it. So I'm going to take the rest of this glue. I'm not going to use that. Just wipe that up, let that dry. And we'll move on. So I'm going to go on to, actually going to take my blade back out, put my old one back in, save that new one for cutting those papers. And we're just at about an hour and a half, so we'll just keep going for a few more minutes here. Anybody got any other, didn't walk dogs when you had? I did walk my dogs. I just haven't had a dog in a long time. I had 2 greyhounds were the last 2 dogs I had. And I didn't walk them much. They walked me. Those things, they were always tugging and pulling away. They just want to run. That's what they want to do. Funny thing is, though, they're just, when we got them, they're just called 40-mile-an-hour couch potatoes. They're so glad to just be retired. They don't even give a shit about running anymore. They'd rather lay around and just be lazy. But they will if they need to, especially if a cat runs through your backyard. They will go after that sucker, be on it faster than that thing can move. It was funny to watch. So I'm just taking my big cutters here and just trimming off, saving time instead of trying to use my hand saw. I'm just rough cutting the bulk of these pieces off. Since this is on the bottom of a rucksack, once it's cleaned, I'm not going to see that anyway. It's going to be standing up. So I haven't decided if I'm going to do these little helmets. I think I might, though. Or a possum. Yeah, that is true. My dogs killed more possums. Oh, man. And mauled just as many. If I didn't get to them quick enough, yeah, they'd end up killing them. Because that's the thing, greyhounds don't kill right away. They like to play with their toys. They like to take their cat or whatever they're chasing and throw it up in the air and run around with it and throw it up some more. And it's just funny. But yeah, and then occasionally they like to bring him in the house, which was not fun. Not fun at all. So what else should I use here? A couple of backpacks. Yeah. And again, these are going to be laying flat, so I don't mind taking just taking these big chunks. And these are good for that. These cutters they're not a single blade. They're really made for wires, like small, soft copper wire. They will work well with this, and they're ground pretty nice and flat here. They're double weight. It's like more like a diagonal cutter, but they will take this resin off in a hurry. And as long as you're careful, you don't cut too deep and end up removing material that you don't want or don't want removed. You end up taking more than just the flashing and the molds. You're good. You can really take off a lot of material quickly and have a lot less cleanup. Like this piece, it's got a bunch of supports that kind of hold it up. So I'm just going to I just clip off those supports, get those out of the way, and then I can get down to the meat of it and get this big piece off. I try to cut back as much of the original piece as possible, so I have the least amount at the end to trim off. There. Yeah. And then I just got a tiny bit to clean up. So yeah, there's a nice little backpack. A bunch of pouches on it. We've got, looks like a sleeping bag here. This will be relatively quick because there's not much there to worry about. Clip it off. And clean as you go. If you don't do that, you'll end up with a bunch of pieces everywhere. This way, I trim off. Let's see, we'll do this guy. I cut off, a bunch of resin and throw it away. Clean the bench. Keep going because it's going to get messy soon enough when I start sanding everything. So at least this way. Yeah, see that one stands up there. Let's see. Oh, there's one I already cut. Put that one over here. There's another double-sided backpack. Have you ever cracked the resin? Yes, I've cut too deep. That's why I was talking about. Here, I'm going to put that on screen. He was asking if I've ever cracked it. Yeah, I have gotten too aggressive with it. And in fact, with this box here, there's a raised edge around the very far corner of it, and I tried to clip too much, and it kind of took out a piece. I was able to just trim it off and glue it back in quick enough. But yeah, I was a little too aggressive there. So I'm saying I take big pieces off, but I'm not getting as close to the piece, as I can until the end. And that way it doesn't remove a chunk that I don't want removed. All right, so one more standalone backpack here. Not sure how many of these I'm going to use, but I might as well trim all the pieces off. I've also got an extra track, but this is made for an M1A1 Abrams, so the tracks aren't even the same that's on my tank, so that's not going to get used. He wanted to run a little while after he wanted to run. What? Oh, yeah. I was going back to one of your messages. Yeah. Why the dogs chase it around? Yeah, they wanted to take off, and I'll never forget when we first got those dogs, and I put in this brand new big dog door. And we used to have this cat walk through my backyard, and he would just look at you like, what the fuck are you going to do? He just shit in my backyard and just pissed me off. Well, then I got two greyhounds. I got one greyhound, I should say. I got the first one. Put in this doggy door. One day, There's this cat walking through my backyard again. And he's just looking at me like, what the fuck are you going to do? My dog stuck his nose out that window, or at that doggy door. And that cat looked over like, what? That dog came through that door, was on that cat so fast it barely got over the fence. And the funny thing was, after that, they never came and set foot in the backyard again. They would stand on the top of the fence and look in, but those cats would never. He probably went around the neighborhood and said, man, I don't know what it was, but it was fucking fast. Don't go in there. So we never had a problem with cat shit anymore. That was probably the best part. Here's a little Camelback. Another little tiny looks like wrapped up package, but there's an actual Camelback hydration pack here on this one. So whoa, that was close. I'm talking about cracking the resin. That got real close to the other piece. So I'm going to take off as much as I can here. This is going to be a little bit of a challenge. This is a thinner piece. Oh, there we go. That did it. Perfect. A little bit of cleanup. It's golden. All right, folks. We're going to wrap this one up for tonight. Thanks again for joining in. Appreciate everybody that comes in every night and hangs out with me. We had a really good crowd tonight. I hope everybody's excited as I am to start that resin, that 148 Tomahawk. And once I'm done with this project, we will get started on that eventually. I don't know when I'm going to be done with this. This is going to take a little bit of time, but the painting should go relatively quickly, I think. Most of the stuff's going to be the same color. It's just, that's the way their packs were. And good night, Julia. See you later. A lot of their equipment and bags and sacks and all that stuff was all painted, all the same fabric, all the same material. So good catching with you too, George. Appreciate you. We'll see you next time. So yeah, a lot of this stuff's going to be the same color. Peace out. See you, Brandon. Except for maybe some of the trunks and like the ice chest and stuff, those will have some unique colors to them. But most of the backpacks and stuff, can't wait for the final tank. See you tomorrow. See you, Tyler. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you. And then we'll start, actually, before I get to the painting process, once I sand everything, then I'll start piling it in there and see exactly what pieces I'm going to use, and we'll go from there. And like I said, hopefully paint won't take too long, and then I can just kind of glue everything down, and we'll call it done. In the meantime, see you, everybody. Be good humans. We'll talk to you soon. See you on the flip side. See you next Wednesday. Same time, 6:00 p.m. Pacific. And tell your friends. Hit that subscribe button. You know how to do it. We'll talk to you soon. Later, boys and girls.